An alone mute girl falls in love with a water beast. Will she be able to save him from cruel mankind? Stay tuned to watch the full recap of the drama, fantasy, and romantic film, The Shape of Water. The story begins with the main character of the movie having a dream where reality is kinda submerged in water. In her dream, some stuff and she, herself, was floating peacefully until things begin to settle down on the ring of an alarm. She woke up without recalling that unusual dream. Starting the day, Elisa, who couldn't talk and live alone, made her breakfast and prepared a hot tub to freshen up. Then she gets ready, prepares her lunch, and sets an extra plate for her friend Giles, who lives next door. Giles is among her good friends. He then shows her a dance scene from a movie on television. She leaves his apartment, tries the film steps, and then continues walking. As she passed by the cinema right under her apartment, her landlord called her and gave her 2 tickets to an upcoming movie and requested to bring his friend Giles. Following this, when she was leaving for her job, she was stopped by the shoe shop where she looked at the sandals. She must have really liked them but hadn't extra bucks. Bus stops at an aerospace research center where she works. Inside the building, Zelda, her colleague and very good friend, was keeping a place for Elisa in the long queue so she didn't need to wait and gave her a ticket to punch in time. Elisa and Zelda are working together and dusting the area, while Zelda is dusting the space rocket and, as per her habit, complaining about her man. Elisa and Zelda enter a new room with some buckets to collect plastic wraps spread everywhere around. Zelda taunts one of the employees that basket kinda things are used to put trash. And just like a frightened kid did so, Mr. Fleming enters and rebukes Zelda to stop her chatter and calls everyone for attention. Mr. Fleming, security in charge, introduces a new Dr. Hofstepler. While he was delivering his speech, there arrives a man in a black coat, Strickland, with the asset. When Fleming is busy with Strickland, taking him through the security procedures, Elisa peeks at the asset and hears some strange noises. She takes more interest in it. As she taps on the glass of the cylinder, a monster hits the window, alarming his presence. Elisa gets scared. Everyone takes notice. Doctor asks to mount the cylinder, and Fleming gets the ladies out of the room. While Elisa is shocked, she stands by the door. Zelda calls and takes her out. The next morning, Giles takes Elisa out for breakfast and forces Elisa to go for the pie. She doesn't like pies, and then orders pie for both of them, for which Elisa was only forced to eat. There, Giles tried some random but prolonged conversations with the manager because he liked him so much. At home, Elisa is about to throw out the pie, but Giles asks her not to and puts it in the refrigerator where a lot of pies were already there. Seems like he only buys them because of his love for the manager. Elisa changes the TV channel to a news channel, which Giles asks her to change, and then they stop on a dance show. Both tap dance to the song playing and enjoy it. Elisa repeats the same routine cycle with a hidden smile of happiness and satisfaction. She cleans the bathroom with Zelda when Strickland comes in to use it. He washes his hands before using the toilet and says that washing hands before or after using the toilet tells everything about a man. He makes the ladies quite uncomfortable with his presence. When he's gone, Elisa notices some drops of blood on the sink. Later, as they were cleaning the hallway, they heard some shots, and then Strickland came out the door wounded with a hand injury. Zelda takes Elisa out of there while talking about the shot as they were having their meal. Fleming came to get them both and ordered them to clean the area flooded with blood all around. Zelda goes into her usual complaint mood, and Elisa starts to mop the floor. As she splashes some water, 2 fingers come out. Elisa picks them up and shows them to Zelda, who starts to panic and asks her to put them away while she calls the manager. Elisa hears some unusual sounds coming from the cylinder where an amphibian man is held. When she gets near to it, she sees that creature was shot, and suddenly the door opens behind Elisa and it runs away into the water. At home, Elisa makes cornflakes and tells Giles about the creature. Giles, surprised, asks her whether it's all true. Well, he added he once saw a mermaid and nothing else. Giles turns the TV channel to his favorite, picks his latest painting, and shows it to Elisa, who appreciates his work. Later, he asks her to take a rest, and when he is paid, he will eat pie and get her whatever she likes. After he's gone, Elisa focuses on the song playing on the TV. At the art gallery, the manager Bernie asks Giles to make changes to the paintings and asks him how he has been doing since he left. Giles assures him he is doing okay, but Bernie asks him to make changes, and then they will see what they can do. At the laboratory, Elisa went to see that creature during her dinner break. She taps on the cylinder, but the creature wasn't there. He was in the pool. She sat on the boundary and tapped on the egg to get his attention. While Elisa was removing the shell of the egg, the creature came out of the water and saw her doing it. Following this, she takes a little bit of it and he moves to Elisa, who is holding the egg. As he emerges out of the water, Elisa is frightened but calms her nerves and holds the egg for him. As she offers it, he starts to shriek. Still, Elisa asks him to calm down with a show of hands and leaves it to the edge of the pool for him, who takes the egg and jumps back into the pool. Afterward, she leaves the room and tells Zelda she was cleaning there. Later, they were called for interrogation by Strickland, who comments on the names of Zelda and makes her uncomfortable, then turns towards Elisa, who finds his fingers and tells her how they sutured it back. On asking questions about Elisa, Zelda lets Strickland know that Elisa doesn't speak, and she translates for her. Strickland tells them about the thing they have been keeping there, and he is not human. God didn't create him in his image because he is a man like him. General Hoyt calls Strickland, and they have a conversation about his visit and make any decision about the asset. The creature scratches the eggshells and practices the gestures that Elisa did. While Elisa leaves for home, today she couldn't sleep beside the glass window on her way back home. Something has surely changed. On the other side, Strickland drops at his home in his friend's car and doesn't take interest in his children's discussion. What an irritated man. The next day, girls clean the floor as the scientists and doctors leave. Once everyone left, she grabbed her bag and put an egg for the creature on the edge, and then started to play music. Hearing this, he comes out and takes the egg. As he took the egg, she stopped the music. He then comes out of the water and looks at the box as if he liked it. She again starts playing the music and tells him about it. When she stopped this time, he asks her to play it again. She plays it and grabs a bite of her sandwich while the creature eats his egg. He joins her in listening to new music while she brings him more eggs. One night when she was having fun with the creature, Dr. Hofstetler notices them but doesn't interrupt. Not only this, but Zelda also sensed something new in Elisa. Then, Dr. Hofstetler departed to his residence, grabs a blueprint of some schematics and leaves to meet his boss. He communicates with his head and tries to persuade them to save that creature since it can be significant to them. Zelda saves Elisa the trouble of queuing and gets her punched in for duty. As Zelda deals with Yolanda, Strickland gives Elisa some different looks. Zelda brings a trolley of clothes for laundry, and Elisa places a note. Both put the luggage in the van when Dwayne asks Zelda to smoke, and she suggests Elisa join. Dwayne convinces them that he has shifted the camera and created a blind spot for them. There she got an idea of how to disable cameras if she needed to meet that creature. Elisa went to see the creature but got worried when she saw him chained and bleeding. She really wanted to help him, but the door opened behind her, so Elisa hid quickly, unaware that an egg had been dropped out of her bag. The creature kept on looking at where Elisa was hiding as if he was asking for her help. Strickland teases the creature with the cattle prod, of course disturbing Elisa as well, while Zelda finds the Elisa trolley beside the creature's room. During this, General Hoyt enters simultaneously. Strickland welcomes Hoyt, and they discuss how natives in Amazon think that he's a kind of god. Hofstetler notices Elisa and tries to convince Hoyt not to kill but to study him. Otherwise, what would be the purpose? Hoyt tells him that he has the authority and will decide what will happen. When they all left, Elisa rushed to get out of the door and got disturbed hearing the conversation. Hofstetler is arguing with the general, and Elisa comes down the stairs to look at what's happening while pretending to clean up. She requests Giles at home to assist her in getting him out of the facility, but he objects since they might be breaking the law. Elisa confesses her love for that creature and tells Giles how they all are alone and so that imprisoned amphibian creature is. But Giles better feels like leaving for his meeting anyhow, as it's obviously impossible, but he wasn't satisfied because he upset Elisa, his only friend. Bernie declines Giles' offer of employment and discouraged goes to the pie shop. Giles tries to make out with the shop manager, but he abruptly rejects and rebukes him and requests that he leave because it was a family restaurant. He returns to Elisa after being turned down and offers to be there for her no matter what. At the same time, Hofstetler tries to convince his boss to save that creature, who offers him two options: either delay the procedure or simply kill him on his own with the injection he provided. On the other side, Strickland eventually purchased his new car in the color teal, which he really dislikes. He was admired and liked by various folks while driving. At work, Fleming does like it too. When Hofstetler was taking care of the amphibian, amphibian. Elisa focuses on how she will get the creature out of the lab. While doing so, Zelda is smoking with Guys, and she notices something suspicious about Elisa. Elisa plans her strategy wisely after carefully analyzing the facility and preparing everything, while Giles is all set to proceed with the plan by preparing a laundry van to get inside the facility. Strickland tries to take advantage of Elisa's muteness at work by dropping his glass of water, but she saves his skin and leaves the room. Hofstetler fills the injection for the creature. Elisa is carrying out her plan and is trying to create a blind sight for her in the camera by changing its angle. At once, Hofstetler makes his one last effort to convince Strickland, but fruitless, when he notices a shift in the camera's angle on the screen. He investigates it. Zelda is waiting for Elisa when Yolanda asks her if she will join them. She asks them to leave, punches Elisa's card, and goes out to find her. Hofstetler found Elisa, gave her the keys to take the creature out of the facility, and then told her to meet him in the loading dock in 5 minutes. Giles enters the building in his van, and the guard asks him to check his ID while Elisa brings the creature to the loading docks, where Zelda confronts her. Strickland takes notice of Giles's van and tries to call the guard, but he doesn't pick up, then rushes out to the loading bay. Giles is asked to exit the van by the security guard after he notices something is off. As the time runs out on the bomb, it causes the fuse box to disrupt the circuit. Hofstetler meets the ladies at the bay arguing and asks them to hurry up. Zelda's only objection to this was that she didn't want her buddy to get into trouble. She eventually agrees with Elisa and assists her in moving the monster from the institution. Hofstetler shoots the guard, and Giles sets his van for loading. When they were about to load the creature, Giles was stunned by the beauty of that creature. Hofstetler takes Zelda away with the trolley, and Elisa goes with the creature. Strickland reaches the scene, but it is too late. Giles takes the van away, and Strickland shoots the van, but in vain instead. Giles wrecks Strickland's car. At home, Elisa prepares the bathtub for the creature, puts him there, and saves his life, while Strickland tries to figure out who is responsible for this. Elisa surveys the docks and plans to release the creature during the rain. She marks the date on the calendar and presents the creature with a card of friendship. Strickland questions every worker the next day, while Giles paints the creature on his pads. Zelda and Elisa stand their best in front of Strickland. With nothing to prove, he lets them leave. Confident Elisa provokes him with sign language. After questioning, Zelda states she is thanking him. Giles falls asleep while guarding the creature. The creature then leaves the bathtub and enters the room, where he scrolls through his sketches and finds a cat sitting beside the board, which hissed at him. He hisses in response and eats her. Giles awakens after hearing noises and discovers the creature eating the cat. The beast then attacks Giles so that it leaves the building. Hofstetler gives Elisa some important ingredients for the creature and asks when she will release the beast. Elisa says the canal will fill and depart into the sea during rain. Elisa runs back home after receiving a call from Giles. Giles asks her to bring him home because he isn't mad at him. It is his nature. Elisa finds him in the theater watching a movie. She takes him back and tends to Giles. Giles asks the creature not to play with the kiddies, who are now friends. He then turns to Giles, puts his hand over his head, and asks Giles to do the same, and then some blue light emerges on its body. He does the same on the wound. Elisa puts a bandage over the wound. Strickland calls for Dr. Hofstetler to investigate him because he wasn't in favor of killing that beast, so he was suspected. While at home, Elisa takes care of the creature with all her heart. He was about to touch her, to which she leaves abruptly, but returned back to him and lets him feel her. At work, Elisa can't hide her smile, and Zelda notices their intense love for each other. The Russian boss visits Hofstetler and assumes that according to the plan he must have killed it yet, but upon realizing it, he said he will be waiting for him when they will set the plan to extract him from the lab. Strickland is sitting at home watching TV, then goes out, sits in his car, looks at his hand, and removes the puss from the sutured finger in anger. Elisa prepares a bath for the creature and herself, whereas at the theater down in the building, water starts to dribble and people begin to leave. Giles wakes up, notices the hair on his head, and looks at the recovered wound. Meanwhile, the landlord comes to Giles to notify him about the leaking in the theater and why there is water all around. Giles worryingly gets inside her apartment and opens the door, but looking at them, he shuts the door as he doesn't want to disturb them. Giles is happy about his hair and his arm recovered and shares it with Elisa, saying he might be one of the gods for real. At the same time, Strickland has put Fleming on Dr. Hofstetler to spy. Hofstetler receives a call from his Russian boss about it. He notices that he is being spied on through his window. Elisa revisits the canal and is sad about letting go of the creature she loves. General Hoyt visited Strickland and gave him 36 hours to find the creature. Strickland goes to the bathroom and calms his nerves. Elisa looks at the calendar's date as it is raining outside and gets sad about seeing the date to let go of the creature. She looks at the back of the torn page of the calendar and communicates with the beast, imagining herself herself singing and dancing with him. She doesn't want him to let go and also lets him know that she will miss him. Zelda comes to check on Elisa, asks her to release him tonight because he's kept on getting unwell day by day, offers to help her, and then leaves. Hofstetler has been under strict observation by Strickland. After taking the call, he departs for a meeting with the boss. When he goes, upon realizing he's not going with the extraction plan, the boss shoots him but is eventually killed by Strickland, and he saves Hofstetler's neck to get the information he needs. Hofstetler gave him the information. Strickland then rushes towards Zelda's house, where her husband tells him where the creature is being kept. As Strickland leaves her house, she tries to call, but her husband tries to stop her. Ignoring him, she makes the call to Elisa and warns her she wants both of the lovebirds to be saved. Giles and Elisa take the creature in the van and leave the house. Strickland finds nothing at Elisa's home but a calendar date with notes on it. On another side, Giles and Elisa both say their goodbyes to the creature. As she was saying her goodbyes, Strickland approached and struck Giles down and shot Elisa and the creature. Both dropped dead on the ground. Then Giles, who was still alive, stands up, hits Strickland with a rod, and drops him on the floor. Giles comes towards Elisa and finds her unconscious, but the creature recovers from his wounds. He then cuts the throat of Strickland, who was standing up and reloading, and leaves him for dead. Then he takes Elisa into the water. Giles and Zelda stood watching them go, silently saying goodbye to both of them. In the water, he put his hands on her scars and kissed her. As he was a magical creature with a lot of strong powers, her scars became gills now, which helped her to breathe in water, and she was now alive and ready to live in water with the love of her life.